What is going on, y'all? Thank you for joining us here on the Mission Ready Men briefing on the SHR Media Network. Today is Thursday, January 30th, and we have a packed show for you today. I do want to acknowledge, and we are going to talk about it a little bit, but I do want to acknowledge a tragedy that happened in DC at Reagan National Airport. We lost, 67 victims in that tragedy. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit, and also we're gonna talk about RFK's confirmation hearing and how much of a clown show that was. And even though he's in day 2 right now, I haven't had a chance to take a look at that because we have Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard also on deck today. But we'll get into that a little bit. SecDef Pete Hegseth is making moves, so we're going to talk about that. But before we get into everything we're going to talk about today, please do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, share these videos, comment. Definitely leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you in chat, and also pray for us. Pray that we can reach as many people as we possibly can. Pray for this podcast. Pray for Sackhead Sean and the Edge of Liberty, Jersey Joe and the Reaver of Common Sense, and BZ and his Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Pray that we have a breakthrough. Pray that we reach as many people as we possibly can, because we have a message that we need to get out, that people need to hear. So pray for us, and thank you for joining us, as I said, here on the SHR Media Network. And you can follow this show. You can follow Mission Ready Men on all the socials at Mission Ready Men, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and Truth Social. And for our merch, head over to missionreadymen.com, shop 7 Armors. Check out the Mission Ready Men logo design and all the other great designs that we have over there on that site. All right, I think that's everything we got to get out of the way. So let's get after it. As I said in the opening, there was a tragic midair collision at Reagan National Airport last night. There were 67 victims. There are 67 victims, 60 passengers on the American Airlines flight, 4 members of the flight crew, and 3 military members that perished in the Black Hawk helicopter that airliner collided with. I am not an aviation expert. I really don't know much about what happened other than the reports that I'm sure you've all seen. I'm not going to show the video of the crash. It's really, it's everywhere. I'm sure you've seen it. So we're not gonna get into that, and we're not gonna try and Monday morning quarterback what should have happened, who was at fault. That's not for us to decide. At least not right now. Once we have more information, I'm sure there will be a lot of people who will be able to speak to that with a lot more authority. But right now, we're just going to pray for the victims' families and the first responders who are dealing with this tragedy. We know that some of the victims on the American Airlines flight were members of the U.S. figure skating team, skaters, coaches. So we pray for, as I said, their families, their teammates, the people that they skate with, that will definitely miss them. And we pray for their eternal souls, that they are with God up in heaven, because we don't want the alternative for them, right? So with that out of the way, let's just move on. We like I said, we pray for the victims, and we pray for the first responders who are dealing with that tragedy. On to the clown show that was the RFK confirmation hearing, day one. There's so much to unpack there, but I want to get into or show you a bit of RFK's opening statement, because it was great. It was fantastic, and there were a couple of points. I think we're only going to get into one of them right now, but there were a couple of points that need to be that we need to take a look at. And the first one, like I said, is his opening statement. So let's take a look at that.
You have emphasized the importance of nutrition in preventing and managing chronic disease, improving health outcomes, and reducing health costs. I share your interest in the relationship between our diet and our well-being. And if confirmed, I look forward to partnering with you on those efforts. Would you share with the committee why you are passionate about the nutrition-oriented disease prevention and what you have learned?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I had 11 brothers and sisters. I had dozens of first cousins. I was raised in a time where we did not have a chronic disease epidemic. When my uncle was president, 2% of American kids had chronic disease. Today, 66% have chronic disease. We spend zero on chronic disease during the Kennedy administration. Today, we spend $4.3 trillion a year. With 77% of our kids cannot qualify for military service. When I was a kid, the typical pediatrician would see one case of diabetes in his or her lifetime, 40 or 50-year career. Today, 1 out of every 3 kids who walks through his or her office door is diabetic or pre-diabetic.
That is a tragedy, because when you look at, and I want to go back to, obviously, the 1 out of every 3 kids seen at a pediatrician's office is diabetic or pre-diabetic. That's just that's a tragedy in and of itself. But 77% of young people who are eligible through age to be able to join the military couldn't qualify. Now, I remember when I joined, I had some work to do to qualify. It wasn't because I was pre-diabetic or anything like that, but I wanted to make sure I was in shape enough to be able to handle the rigors of boot camp, and I did that. I did that well, if I do say so myself. But 77% of kids can't qualify for the military. That's insane. And other countries around the world are looking at that. China, Russia, they are healthy, because a lot of the food that we give our people today is illegal in those places. And China and Russia, they're raising hard warriors. And 23% of the kids in our country are healthy enough to qualify. And of those, how many do you think will actually volunteer? Now, I know that with Hegseth at the DoD, things are trending in the right direction, but it's only been a week. So what do you think those other countries are looking at? We have a serious health problem in this country, and other countries looking at us and laughing. Our adversaries anyway, like China and Russia. So that's something that needs to be addressed, and even though I disagree with Bobby Kennedy on a lot, especially his stance on abortion, I really would like to see him confirmed, only because he has stated unequivocally numerous times that he is going to enact the policies that the president puts forward. He serves at the pleasure of the president. So I don't see him in any way of influencing what happens with the abortion debate. I think that ship has sailed for him at this point. He's just looking to help get this country back on healthy footing, and I appreciate that. There were a lot of fireworks at this hearing. Elizabeth Warren lost her mind, as we all knew she was going to do. Liawatha was just, I don't have the clip available to play, but I just want to touch on this because she tried to get him on his so-called cashing in on litigation because he was a lawyer and she didn't want him to sue these pharmaceutical companies. Well, she didn't want him to sue them because she's raking in boatloads of cash from them. And she had the nerve to question his ethics on that front. And so she melted down with that a little bit. But the big one that I wanted, to get to is Bernie Sanders. This dude, he is, I don't know. I don't know what his deal is at this point, because he is, I don't know if his age is catching up to him or who knows? Who knows really? But he had he had an epic turn at the mic. He was questioning when he was questioning Bobby Kennedy, and it was just it had to be seen to be believed. And when you see it, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Check this out.
The little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unfaxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No Problem. Now you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Blackburn.
Are you I can't do the Sanders voice, but are you supportive of these onesies? How far have we fallen? I mean, if you look at some of the debates, some of the founders and early senators and congressmen had, when you read some of those debates, what happened? It's just unbelievable that is what we're reduced to. Are you supportive of these onesies that have a message on? I mean, come on. It's just, it's ridiculous. It really is. And there were a number of other ridiculous clown show moments, but we're not gonna get into all that. We're just gonna go ahead and move on because you get the idea. You get the idea. It was a clown show. Let's move on to some wins that are piling up. President Trump signed an executive order to have the roads and bridges in North Carolina repaired, and he, in his remarks, it wasn't in the order, but in his remarks, he said he wanted to eliminate the permitting hurdles and stuff like that. That's the bureaucratic red tape that causes a lot of delays and stuff like that. That wasn't in the executive order, unfortunately. But think about this. And the Army Corps of Engineers is already on the ground and starting to make some of these repairs. The hurricane happened on September 24th, I think, somewhere on the 24th, 25th. President Trump, so that was, Biden had nearly 4 months, to do something, to do anything. President Trump has been in office at this point now for 10 days. And I think the Army Corps of Engineers hit the ground probably a couple of days ago. But let's just say 10 days. 10 days, and he's already making an impact in North Carolina, which should have been well on their way to getting some of these things done months ago. And so it makes you wonder. I mean, Biden was in office. He had the exact same power that President Trump has, depending on how much influence his puppeteers had. But either way, somebody had the ability to help these people, and nobody did. Franklin Graham's organization, Samaritan's Purse, and other charitable organizations like that did what they could. But the federal government should have been there to do something for these people, and they didn't. Is it because they voted for Trump, and that's why he declined to send them aid? Seems like what other possible explanation could there be? I mean, seriously, people started to freeze to death, starve, but nothing from the federal government. And let's not forget about in Florida when that FEMA supervisor told people to avoid homes that had Trump flags and stuff like that. Kind of makes it obvious. So Trump is like I said, stacking up the wins, and I couldn't be happier about it. Another win, another executive order that he signed, and I think this is just yeah, here we go. He signed an executive order freezing a lot of foreign aid, and especially now considering the financial crisis that we're in, the debt that we're racking up by the nanosecond, we can't afford to be printing money to give to all these other countries. And so he signed the executive order to put a stop to that. And I just thought this was great. This is the former president of Kenya, I believe, and he had some choice words for people who were all upset about the United States no longer giving people financial aid and stuff like that. Let's take a listen to this.
People the other day crying, oh, I don't know, Trump has removed money. He said he's not giving us any more money. Why are you crying? It's not your government, it's not your country.
Seriously.
He has no reason to give you anything. I mean, you don't pay taxes in America. He's appealing to his people. Shauri yenu bana. This is a wake-up call for you to say, okay, what are we going to do to help ourselves? Instead of crying.
Exactly. And I think you can extrapolate that out not just to foreign aid, but to people who are just living off the government in this country. And I'm not talking about aid to disaster areas like North Carolina and Florida and California. That's not what I'm talking about. So don't come at me with that nonsense. But people, able-bodied people who can work, but somehow have figured out a way to game the system to collect a check from the government. And I don't even understand how that's possible. I don't understand what hoops you have to jump through, and apparently there's not that many because it happens with so many people these days. But I just don't understand that. And the former president of Kenya had it right. It's time for you to figure out how to do this on your own. So good for him. And I think a lot of people need to listen to that message and take some heed to it and take stock of their own lives and figure out how they can implement that strategy. Another win that Trump had is he signed the Laken-Riley Act into law. And if you watch the ceremony, her mother had a really heartfelt message, and I would encourage you all to take a look at it because it's worth hearing her words about her daughter and about President Trump. But he signed that bill into law, thankfully, and here's just a quick clip of the ceremony where he signs the law and he gives out his pens famously. Check it out.
Okay.
At the end of that, I'm not going to play it all, but at the end of that, some reporter tries to ask him a question about spending or budgets or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And he shuts him down, says that's not appropriate right now. So, but let's take a look at the Laken-Riley Act, the language of the law itself. Because the fact that it wasn't already something that we were doing is just silly to me. But the bill requires the Department of Homeland Security to detain non-U.S. nationals, aliens, who have been arrested for burglary, theft, larceny, or shoplifting. And it also authorizes states to sue the federal government for decisions or alleged failures related to immigration enforcement. That's huge. That is huge. And that's a little a little talked about part of this, because Texas, right here in Texas, Jocelyn Nungare, it had this law been in effect when she was brutally murdered by a couple of illegal aliens. And I don't know if, it's not really clear to me whether or not individual like Jocelyn Nungare's mother could sue the federal government for it. I would hope so. Maybe Texas would sue on her behalf, or maybe other states would sue on victims' families' behalf. I hope that's how it works out. But I just think that that is absolutely huge. And I don't know. It's baffling to me that we're even at this point, honestly. How has the government allowed us to be overrun by illegal aliens committing all kinds of horrific crimes, and nothing was done about it? And now we have a new president who's taking this seriously, and we have a new law in place. We have a secure border, which we'll get to later on. Tom Homan and Kristi Noem getting it done. It doesn't seem like it was that difficult. Like I said, President Trump's been in office for 10 days. 10 days. We have this law. We have a secure border. We have illegal aliens being rounded up by the thousands and shipped off. President Trump has opened Guantanamo Bay, 30,000 beds to detain some of the worst illegal aliens. And I imagine a lot of them will be suspected terrorists and cartel members and things like that. Good. I saw one of the Democrat shills, JoJo from Jurors, all upset, up in arms that we're going to be putting some of these people in Guantanamo. Was she upset when we were putting terrorists there? Knowing her, probably. But anyway, I think this is outstanding. And like I said, President Trump is just stacking up the wins. And we're going to get into even more after we have a word from our sponsor of today's show, which is Patriot Mobile. And with Patriot Mobile is the country's only Christian conservative, not that one, with me. We have, in case you couldn't tell, we have a new setup here, and things a little discombobulated at the moment. Hopefully by next Monday or next Tuesday when we're back, we can have some of this ironed out. But anyway, as I was saying, Patriot Mobile is the country's only Christian conservative wireless carrier. And these days, when it's more important than ever to support companies and organizations that share our values, it is, like I said, more important than ever that we support these companies. Patriot Mobile not only shares our beliefs, but they actually do something about it. They're on the border. They're donating to pro-life causes and things like that. And a portion of every dollar that you spend with them goes to fight those causes that we care about. So switch to Patriot Mobile now and get a free month of service with the offer code Jackson. Go to patriotmobile.com, use promo code Jackson, or call 972-PATRIOT and use promo code Jackson today. All right, so I talked about wins that are just stacking up, and they're stacking up high. And another one is Pete Hegseth. He has Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. He took the reins over at the Pentagon, and he is not wasting any time. He has suspended General Milley's security clearance and Secret Service detail. I just think that's awesome. Awesome. And yeah, he was assigned that Secret Service detail after we conducted a strike that killed Qasem Soleimani. And at the time, okay, I understand that. But with everything that General Milley has done, and we know that he's done a lot of these things because he's said so on camera and I believe under oath. So Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, has, like I said, he rescinded his, or he suspended his Secret Service detail. He removed or suspended his security clearance as well. So he can no longer get access to sensitive information, which is fantastic. And we'll get into why that is here in a second. And he's also looking into the possibility of demoting him. He's ordered the Inspector General to investigate whether or not it is possible for them to demote him. And I don't know how far down they want to bust his rank, but I think he's deserving of all of that. I mean, he should be in jail, frankly. He really should be in jail. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has informed former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, retired Army General Mark Milley, that he is revoking his personal security detail and suspending his security clearance, according to senior defense officials. Yes, that is awesome. And the reason why, I mean, I don't have the clip to show, but one of the reasons why is because he has on camera admitted to calling his counterpart over in China and warning them, or saying that he would warn them in the event that President Trump ordered an attack on China. Why he was not immediately arrested when he said that is beyond me. I don't understand how that was allowed to stand. But Bob Woodward wrote a couple of books, and a lot of the information in there, I believe, is accurate, especially when you consider that some of the information in there is just taken directly from statements that Mark Milley has made publicly. During the BLM riots, he wanted to resign, He wanted to resign because he didn't think that President Trump's desire to use the military to try and squash some of these riots was appropriate. And if Trump had done that and he resigned, that would have been, I would have understood that. He didn't think that was right and he resigned, and that's what you do. If you don't want to carry out a specific order from your boss, you can resign and not do it. And that's perfectly acceptable. But he decided to stay and fight Trump from the inside. His words. He met with the Joint Chiefs in an attempt to bolster their resolve to resist any dangerous political schemes from the White House. Again, his words. Actually, no, those are that's a quote from one of Woodward's books. He called Trump a fascist to the core. And I believe that is actually on video as well. And in Woodward's book, Peril, I believe, it's either Peril or the other one. I can't. Well, there are many, so I shouldn't say the other one, but one of the other ones. He asserts that General Milley directed senior military leaders to not follow any orders from President Trump unless he approves them. So he's saying that he's going to approve the president's orders, the commander-in-chief. He's saying that he, as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, is going to approve orders from the commander-in-chief. He should be in jail. He should be in jail. And as I said before, he admitted to, on camera, calling his counterpart over in China, saying that he would warn them in the event that we decided to attack. So Pete Hegseth, I think, is doing the exact right thing in investigating whether or not they can demote him. He had his portraits removed. There was a portrait that just went up probably on Inauguration Day, I think. And he had that portrait removed. And there was another one that had already been up that he had removed. Pete Hegseth is taking no prisoners. He's not playing around, and I am here for it. I am absolutely here for it. Another thing that I'm here for, and I'm sure you will be too when you hear it, if you haven't already, I'm sure you have. If you're watching this show, you pay attention, I'm sure you have seen it. But President Trump, and I'm not sure exactly where this took place, but he made a number of statements, and this one, I think, is one of my absolute favorites. And if you're anything, it's yours too. Well, let's just listen.
Again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words, relatively. They set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary, because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money, and that was all made through tariffs. As we had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
Absolutely. Now, this is a long shot. This is a long shot at best. And I hope that it goes. There's already a bill that's been put forward to do this, to get rid of the federal income tax. I am all for it. I am 100% down getting rid of the income tax. And you know what? Even if they don't get rid of the income tax, I think there's a way that we can get people on board with getting rid of the income tax, is to stop having, because this was a genius move. Stop having the federal government take the money before you see it. Because if you have to write a check to the government every month or every quarter, and you see just how much they're stealing from you, because right now they're stealing it from you. If you write a check, you're voluntarily paying for it. And when you see how much it is that you have to pay, I think that will wake a lot of people up. I think that would wake a lot of people up, because most people, when they go to their job and they collect their paycheck and they see the tax taken out, it's like an abstraction. You don't really, it's not really real. But when you have that money in your account and you have to put in that credit card number or write that check to the federal government, and you see how much it is, I guarantee. Think about what. Think about how little taxes it took for the founders to revolt. It wasn't a lot. Comparatively speaking. They revolted for a lot less than. Can you imagine telling Thomas Jefferson or any of the founders, Patrick Henry, that you're paying 40% of your income to the government? They would look at you like you had 17 heads. That's just unfathomable that would just be unfathomable to them. It makes absolutely no sense. But yet, here we are. So, yeah, I'm all for it. Now, getting back to the actual getting rid of the income tax, like I said, I don't see it passing. I don't see a path forward to repealing the 16th Amendment, at least not yet. If they go the route of not having the federal government steal your money before you get it, now we're moving in the right direction, and I can see eventually support for repealing the 16th Amendment happening. But the reason and the reason why it actually was implemented was, or the income tax, that is, was implemented, was because the revenue that he spoke of from the tariffs was declining. And so it would be interesting to see how he could recover that. Like I said, I'm all for it. I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking the proposal at all. I would love to see it happen and tariff and tax all these foreign countries that hate us anyway and take advantage of us every chance they get. So I'm all for it. I am all for it. All right. we got a few minutes left, and there's a few other things I do want to talk about, because and one of them is that I mentioned earlier is deportations. As of today's the 30th, as of January 29th, I believe that we have I believe that we've deported now somewhere around 7,500 to 8,000 illegal aliens. And as fantastic as that is, it's not enough. But I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm not saying that they're not doing a fantastic job. They absolutely are. But those are rookie numbers. We need to pump those numbers up. But this is as of the 29th, and this was just yesterday. And I believe they released this early in the day yesterday. 1,016 arrests and 814 detainers lodged. And again, fantastic. Get them out. And I think I touched on this last time, where people are all upset talking about how it's not Christian to want to deport these people. What we're talking about right now are criminals. We're talking about we've kicked out murderers, gangbangers, rapists, child molesters, some of the worst of the worst criminals. So we don't need those people here. Get them out. And the people who haven't done any of those things, but they were associated with them and caught with them when ICE raided them, not sorry. Because these are the people you're associating with. You're associating with gangbangers and rapists and child molesters. Well, there's a very good chance that you are too. You just haven't been caught yet. So you know what? Bye. Kick rocks. I don't care. And you can say that's unchristian all you want. Again, I don't care, Margaret. I really don't care. Get them out. So I think this is absolutely fantastic. And keep it coming, or keep them going. Keep getting them out. And it is, I realize it's a drop in the bucket when you consider that probably close to 30 million illegal aliens are in this country. I understand that. But one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that these people, once they realize that we're coming for them, a lot of them will probably self-deport. A lot of them will probably self-deport. And we have reports now that that's actually happening. So good. And the ones who self-deport likely are, except for the fact that they crossed illegally, law-abiding citizens, maybe people who overstayed their visas and stuff like that. They will have a chance to come back if they haven't been caught, if they haven't been given an order to leave. They might be able to come back and do it the legal way, and that will be fine, as long as they're not criminals anyway. But yeah, this is a great start, and there's another win. Whether or not you think it's enough people being deported is of little consequence to me, because this is a win. Almost 8,000 people deported in 10 days, less than 10 days. That's a win, baby. That is a win. And even if somehow they don't manage to get many more than that every day out, it's still a win. It's still a win. I'm still not going to complain, because this is what we need to be doing. We need to be getting these people out of here, period. And we can be all upset about the low number and stuff like that. Again, I don't care. They're doing it. Tom Homan, Kristi Noem are getting it done, and Pete Hegseth too, sending the military down to the border, getting it done. I am not complaining a bit. All right, couple of quick things before we get you out of here. They've been telling us for a long time, ever since we brought up the possibility that illegal aliens could vote in our elections. And there's evidence that it's happening in California and in other states where they issue illegal aliens driver's licenses. Once they have the driver's license, all bets are off. And so there's been ample evidence, but here we have some more. In Maine, records show that legal and illegal aliens are voting in Maine elections. Only voting in Maine elections, but costing MaineCare a small fortune. This article here says as many as 40% of the non-citizens present in Maine, including those who entered the U.S. illegally and those with legal alien status, may have voted in the 2024 elections or had votes cast in their names, according to records obtained and reviewed by the Maine Wire. I mean, of course, this was going to happen, because the government can't do anything efficiently. And when you introduce illegal aliens and start giving them all the benefits of that you would give a citizen, what did you think was going to happen? And why did you think you could tell us that it wouldn't happen? Yeah, some brain dead leftists probably believe that nonsense. But if you have more than 2 brain cells to rub together, you knew this was going to happen. You knew it. And if you didn't, then you don't have those 2 brain cells. It's that plain and simple. So I just wanted to bring that up, because whenever they try to say illegal aliens they're necessary for our survival, they're necessary for our economy and stuff like that, just show them that article, show them any articles from the past 5 years in California or California, as I should call it, and I believe Massachusetts, New York, where they issue illegal aliens driver's licenses. Come on. They vote, and anyone with any amount of common sense knows it. All right. One last quick thing. I want to follow up on something I mentioned last time, because Anthony Mackie, who is an actor, and he's playing Captain America. And if you're familiar with the Marvel movies, he was Falcon. And yes, I'm a comic book nerd. Sorry, not sorry. He was Falcon, and he ended up taking the mantle of Captain America. I'm not going to get into all of that. But now he is playing Captain America, and he had that video where he talked about how Captain America should not represent America. Well, this fool, this fool issued a non-apology apology, and let me see if I thought I had the article, but I guess not. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I know I'm running out of time here. But he issued this ridiculous non-apology apology where he, again, it's a non-apology apology. And I know his publicist either wrote it for him or told him to write it. And it is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not gonna pull up this website here. I'm just gonna read his. Well, this one doesn't have the actual. Oh yeah, here we go. He writes, and the post is in this Comic Sans font, so it's not really to be taken seriously. But he says, "Let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American, and taking the shield of." Screen just refreshed. Bear with me here. Let me be clear about this. I am a proud American, and taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is the honor of a lifetime. I have the utmost respect for those who serve and have served our country. Cap has universal characteristics that people all over the world can relate to. That's true, but his name is Captain America. Just want to put that out there. Well, it's not really. I mean, did he say anywhere, "I apologize for saying this"? No. There was no apology whatsoever. And if you know anything about Captain America, the origins of the character, the very first cover of the comic book he appeared on, he's punching out Hitler. I mean, it doesn't get much more American than that. And for him to issue this ridiculous non-apology apology, he's doing his best to tank this movie, which was already limping towards opening. It was going to bomb probably anyway. And now that he said this, nobody Captain America is one of the most iconic heroes. And even though a lot of people who follow comic books don't, and I know I'm getting off on a tangent here, but people who follow comic books didn't really like the fact that Falcon ended up taking the mantle, and that run of the comic book didn't do very well. But people wanted to see this, and Marvel wanted to see it anyway. I don't know how many people wanted to see it, but people have built up kind of a habit, I guess, of watching these movies. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to recover from this. I would not be surprised in the least if he never plays, if he's not in any more Marvel movies going forward. And just think about what he said. Captain America shouldn't represent America. That's like saying Black Panther, another Marvel character, shouldn't represent being black. Just utterly ridiculous. Proving that he's really not that smart. None of them are. All right. I have taken up enough of your time. So that's all I got for you right now. I will try to do better on the next one. Please Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, share this video, because we want to continue to spread this message of Jesus Christ and the message of hope and liberty that he provides for us, because we want to preserve it. We want to preserve it for future generations. And so, again, if you like the shirt that I'm wearing, the Mission Ready logo shirt, head over to missionreadymen.com, shop 7 Armors, and check out this design and all the other great ones. And also head over to Carry Girl and carrygirl.com and check out those designs as well. And fellas, you would be doing yourself a favor if you head over there and get something for your wife or your girlfriend. Trust me, do it. Do it. Anyway, folks, as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.